Ready?
Hello.
Welcome to our final Dishes and Dimes Hoop Talks of the season. We were just saying in our meeting a couple days ago that it felt so long, and then we're here at the end already. So thank you to everyone who's been on this ride with us. We have Jerome, Dishes, Dimes, and our number one dude, and Noor, of course. So yeah, let's get into it, guys. What do you want to talk about?
We have a champion.
I know. How do you guys feel about the Lakers?
How
are we feeling about the champ?
But it was weird. I don't know if it was the game itself or just the inevitability that I always felt like the Lakers, like when they started the bubble, that we were just talking about it before. I wonder if it was a different team, would I feel something different about it? Like, I'm happy for the Laker fans that I know and the team, but like I don't know, it was weird. I didn't really feel too much coming out of it. Like, I was just like, okay, there it is. Let's see all the different videos that comes out, and then it goes. But I wonder, did people feel about us when we won last year? Like, no one cared outside of Toronto?
I don't think so. I think it was different because most people didn't expect Toronto to win. You expect LeBron and the Lakers to win.
Right.
I think at that point, like, everything was against the Warriors. So we were just like the favorites by default. Yeah. But this year,
right.
I don't know, like, I feel like I stopped caring after the Raptors left. I was like, okay, we'll see what happens. It's a bubble anyway, it doesn't count.
Yeah. And I think when it comes to, like, because with the Lakers, obviously there was all this stuff about the respect and the narrative around it and just like what they've had to overcome. But like the real story would have, like, for that to be true, in my opinion, is if Miami won and what they would have had to overcome between injuries, between putting everything together, between just the specific story of Jimmy Butler. Like, I think everyone outside of Laker fandom, or like even just general fans, I think everyone just like was like pro Miami. Like, even if you weren't a Miami fan going in, like, you just wanted to see Jimmy take it. You felt worse for them because, you know, Goran was out. Like, I never thought in 2020 I'd be like, damn, I feel terrible for Goran Dragic. But here we are. And so yeah, I think I'd be more excited. I'm pretty sure Noor and I would have had Vice City jerseys in our cart waiting for us to like purchase if that was the case.
We would have been repping Toronto.
For sure.
I was in Miami last year in December, and the only Vice jerseys that I could find were Dwayne Wade. But I think he had retired the year before the Vice jerseys came out. So I have no idea why they even had one in the first place.
I guess he's that player for Miami that
I think so.
Always, like, no matter what, like, he's just going to be like the way that any year that you want to buy a Philly jersey, like, you can always get an Iverson.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be that. But
and it didn't have Jimmy buckets before. It didn't have Jimmy buckets.
Sandie's here.
Right.
Sandie's here. Hello.
Hi, Sandie.
Hey, Jerome.
How are you doing, beautiful?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. I came dressed in my Sandie wear today.
I know, I should have worn it again. I missed it.
You should have done it, Sandie.
So what are you guys talking about? The Lakers?
Yeah. How do you feel about the Lakers?
Yeah, we went through this already on the pod. I don't care.
I don't care.
I should care a little bit because, you know, it is historical. LeBron's gotten his fourth ring, and, you know, the bubble is a unique situation. It came with its own unique circumstances, and the players should be, I guess, celebrated for making it to the end and not just chucking deuces and leaving. Because I'm pretty sure by like the second week I would have been like, bye. I live in the lap of luxury. I'm not going to be like stuck in a hotel with a bunch of dudes that I can't stand. I'm trying to go through the playoffs. So, you know, shout out to them for getting through it. But ultimately, it's LeBron and AD against a very injured Miami team.
Would you have felt differently if Miami won?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, like, I have like LeBron bias in the sense that I recognize that he's likely one of the greatest, or if not the greatest, arguably the greatest player to ever play. But as a Raptors fan, I just have a lot of bitterness in my soul when it comes to LeBron. So anybody that's able to beat LeBron, I have love and admiration for you. So if Miami was able to pull that out, given that Bam was injured, Jimmy had a couple of moments where we were all kind of worried about him, like, and the fact that, honestly, like I said on the pod, I did not foresee them making it out of the East. Never mind taking the Lakers to 6. Like, I thought.
Shout out Kelsey again for that call.
Yeah, no, shout out Kelsey again for that, because I just didn't see it. So if they managed to pull this out, given the narratives that were being built, like for that game 6, or was it the game 5? They had like the whole like commercial where they just
the ESPN promo that just
was
like
actually
coordination.
against the Lakers. I was just like, oh, like history's being made. I'm like, okay, yeah, but they're playing for their team. Do they not exist? Like, so for me, it's just a matter of, like, if Miami had pulled it out, that would have been amazing for me. And I, of course, I want Jimmy to get his ring, because I think he deserves it. So it's kind of unfortunate that they weren't fully healthy. I think they would have been at least able to take it to a game 7 and really push like the Raptors did against the Celtics. So,
do you think they run it back this year?
I think so. I
As
don't
in
think
Miami?
I don't think we do much to the team. I think Hero, Robinson, all of these guys have taken jumps that I think you're just going to be able to hone and work on throughout the regular season. They already have the chemistry there. I think the only thing that they really need to work on, and which was really prevalent, Jimmy really just needs to shoot. I know he's avoiding it, but it was very clear in game 5 and 6 that they were giving him a lot of space to shoot, daring him to make some shots, and he was just pump faking the entire time, like 5 or 6
And he's
times.
not a bad shooter. It was like shades of DeRozan, honestly, just like how unwilling he was to just like pull up. And I think career-wise, he is a better, like statistically, like he's a better shooter than DeMar. So like there shouldn't have been any reason why he doesn't pull up. But I guess it's kind of one of those things where if he does do it, it is ultimately the bailout for them, like as opposed to him driving it in, generating fouls, opening up opportunities to kick out, things like that. But yeah, I think you have to keep him honest is basically it there.
Yeah, for
We
sure.
saw him in the gym the next
I
day.
think he kind of waits until the 4th quarter.
Sorry?
Sorry, Noor, what'd you say?
Yeah. Was that me? Did I cut out? I swear to God,
Yeah.
my internet acts up. Bella's gonna get a call from her. But I was gonna say, I was like, not Jerome, sorry, Jimmy Butler usually waits until the 4th quarter to like really bring his A game, because you can see he's trying to facilitate and get his team members going, which is like, this is what you do when you're the heart and soul of the team, when you're the mechanic. But when the game's on the line, when your season's on the line, when you're playing against LeBron and AD, at that point, you do have to take matters into your own hands and just like take the shot. Don't do any pump fakes.
She cut out again.
No, and I agree 100%. I think part of it too, like you
Did I
noticed.
cut out? Oh my goodness.
I think we got the gist though. Like what I noticed, she'll be back.
She'll be back.
Noticed is he was a lot more aggressive in game 6, and you noticed I'm sorry, in game 5? You noticed the difference in how everybody else was playing around him. And the thing with Jimmy is that he's not that horrible at threes, so it's kind of weird to me that he doesn't even if you miss, I think Nurse mentioned this, even if he was to make the shots and miss, there's an opportunity to get rebounds and just get easy layups, so he has to be able to get enough threes up there that there's a potential that some of them are going to go in. He's not a horrible 3-point shooter, and I think it's something that he can genuinely work on. And I think it would have made a huge difference, and especially when people like Bam were kind of out of their element a little bit, would have been able to help them get out of the hole that they dug themselves into. So
Yeah, it kind of reminds me like how we are with Kyle. Like what a difference it makes when Kyle becomes like a 20+ point scorer in a game. Just when you add that aggressiveness in, and I think we even saw it in the Boston series where it was no coincidence that, you know, when Kyle starts off hot or like comes out aggressively as a scorer, even though he does like all those other things, this kind of the same way Jimmy does, it just makes all that difference because it's not like when you present yourself also as a scoring threat and not just like the potential of it, but actually like putting up numbers, like it just changes the way the defense plays you and it even opens up even more opportunities. So I think it's always, and I think that's where you trust like both of their IQs of reading the game and reading the flow of the game. But you kind of think of it as the choice between do you kind of set everyone up early so they're good for later on, or do you create the threat of yourself that, you know, a defense focuses on you and then you're able to open it up later on. Like you just have to start creating the rhythm later on for people. But, you know, it's always like that kind of tough decision when you're that good of a player.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were also at a disadvantage because they were trying to work into players that have been injured. So, you know, once they got the chemistry going, and then they had a new player come in like, oh, okay, like I'm back, game 6, you know. So I think that threw them off too a little bit. It's just unfortunate. I think their injuries were just really like unfortunate. Like the timing was just off. I think they started getting their chemistry going, and again they had to just kind of try to fit in. And of course, like you work so hard to be in the playoffs. You don't want to sit out if you have an opportunity to play. So I'm not saying that these players should have sat out for chemistry reasons or whatever, but I think it just put the team at a disadvantage there. Whereas the Lakers, the chemistry was just humming the entire.
That's the thing too. Like Goran Dragic, he's a free agent. I guess almost right now, basically.
Not right now, yeah.
So do they bring him back? I mean, the thing about Miami is they do take care of their players. Like they've had Udonis Haslem sitting on the bench for like since we were all born. And so I feel like they will bring Dragic back, even if it's just for a year, especially because they were so close and he was so close this year. Like the injury obviously wasn't his fault, but they'll probably give him another chance. I think their problem is, as Sandie was saying, their depth. So they have Bam, they have Kelly Olynyk, and then they had Myers Leonard as kind of like a break in case of emergency.
Yeah.
Right.
And the emergency came, and he wasn't the Myers Leonard against Golden State in what was it, round 1 last year?
Right. Yeah.
So he wasn't that Myers Leonard, but he's also a free agent this summer. So do you think that they could possibly but let him walk and sign another big? I mean, he did have a fairly big contract, a $10 million contract. So do you think that's something they should do? They could do?
I think whatever they do, you just need to leave yourself the flexibility for 2021, right?
That's the thing, yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, running back is one thing. I think the situation that they're in kind of reminds you of what we were in last year when we kind of came into the season. Like, do we run it back? Do we start making moves right away? And obviously for us, we had the championship, so we had even more incentive to just not like, you know, make drastic changes because you kind of have to be on it, like give your team that credit to try to do it again, even without Kawhi. But the way I saw Miami this year is like, even though they had to believe in him, and even though Kelsea was way ahead of all of us and knowing that they were going to make the finals, like I don't think they weren't going to be like anyone's top pick going into the season. So I think when you think about that and how they ended up losing in 6 to like LeBron and AD, like you look at that and just say like a few things turn our way and like we have a legit shot. Why would we mess with the formula? But then at the same time, 2021 I think for everyone looms. So even if you have all these contracts, like I think for Goran Dragic, for his impact on the team, like short term makes sense for him. For Myers Leonard, it's just like it really depends what the price is and how long, because that's not something you want to be locked into if you have a shot at Giannis.
That's the thing. I mean, 2021, there's so many free agents. Like we all know Anthony Davis is going to take his player option this year and stay in LA. There's no doubt. But when you look at 2020, I mean, the top ones are like Solomon Hill, Gordon Hayward, who's
Difference
good.
maker. Yeah.
DeRozan, though, he has he's a free agent this year, so that's one that I'm curious to see. I wonder if he will stay in San Antonio, even though they missed the playoffs for the first time in like over 2 decades.
He's not staying.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
No.
Where do you think he's
Where does he
going?
go?
I don't. That's what I've been trying to figure out. Like, what would be a good fit for DeRozan? I think the thing is, he's good enough that he shouldn't be coming off the bench. But for a lot of teams, because he's not defensively capable, is that like fair to say?
Is there room on any of the LA teams? Like, obviously, that's ideal for him to play for an LA team, but
But I don't think he would fit with the Lakers.
right.
And I don't necessarily think he would fit on the Clippers either.
No.
I mean, who would he replace on the Clippers? Like, if he was, I don't know. It's hard. Like with DeRozan,
That's really hard. Yeah.
I low key want him to come back to Toronto, but he wouldn't be able to start.
Fun to listen.
he wouldn't be able to start. I don't think Nurse would. I don't know that he would start on this current.
Well, I think it's to your point. Like, what role is he willing to take? Because he's obviously a starter level talent, but like, teams might only like. I don't. Yeah. Well, okay. I guess first, like, what teams can afford to take a DeRozan?
Right. That's question
Right.
number one. Yeah. No, that's it. And I think he's been in the NBA long enough to kind of dictate where he wants to be too. I don't think he's at the status. Hey, Noor. I don't think he's at the status
Welcome back.
now where you're gonna throw him, take him to the Kings or something, and he's gonna be willing to accept that. So I think he's at a place in his career where he can kind of, in a weird way, dictate where he wants to go. So that also limits the amount of teams that he could end up playing on. But like, I just don't know where he would fit in this current landscape. Like, I don't know.
I think
Because, like-
he goes into Chicago and let the Bulls become like the Bulls again.
Oh, okay. The
Like,
Bulls-
we forget they existed and they had the best player of all time for
right.
Right.
No, actually, that could
Right.
work. He could be a franchise player again.
yeah, if he wants to be a franchise player. I mean, I think the East is probably the only option for him because you're not going to get that in Portland. You're not going to get it in any of the LA teams or Golden State. So why not go East?
How about Utah?
No, I don't want that for him.
I know I don't, but I'm just saying, there is going to be I think there is going to be a split with Mitchell.
Oh,
and,
yeah. He's
Gobert,
gone. He's
right?
gone, yeah.
So there is a little bit of space there, depending on how they shift the roster. There could be space for DeRozan to be.
For the Bucks. When Giannis
I
is
would hate that. Would make me.
But Giannis is
crazy.
with us.
I can't do. No, I'm sorry, but I would watch for sure.
Yeah.
I would watch. Yeah, no, I wouldn't want that for DeRozan either. Like, if he's gonna leave San Antonio, I would really want him to be on the LA team, just because that's home for him. But I just don't know how that would fit with the current. Oh, maybe he could go
Maybe
on,
the Wizards.
I was gonna say the Wizards, but I don't want that for
Yeah.
him. No,
I don't want it for him, but that might
they
be a
have Bradley
possibility.
Beal and John Wall. They don't really like.
But are they going to have both of them?
John Wall still play basketball?
Yeah.
Wall plays basketball? Yeah.
Shade.
Some solid run videos that I saw recently.
Right?
So,
He was looking kind of
yeah.
slow though. Like, he kind of looked like he's lost a step. I don't know if it's just practice. You know how these things are. But it just kind of seems like he's lost a step. But I mean,
He's one of my favorite players to watch. So I really, really, really hope not, because I love John Wall.
Yeah.
I love Bradley Beal too. I genuinely like the Wizards. I just think that they're very, very incompetent as far as their front office goes. So that's not really something I'd want for DeRozan. I mean, he's been blessed to have two fairly good front offices in Toronto and San Antonio. So
Yeah.
my best bet is, because he was saying on JJ Redick's podcast that like he lucked into another great situation. I don't think he goes anywhere, but it would be nice to see him kind of like become a star again.
I just don't think, unless they make big changes in San Antonio, I think
That's what I would want. I think I would
on
want them to
fringe.
make more changes so that they kind of complement
Yeah.
DeRozan, right? Like they still have pop. They still can make they can make a run in the West still. The West is pretty it's pretty up and down. You don't really know what's going to happen with the West next season either. So if they can make some moves, I can see DeRozan still thriving there, and Pop working out a way to make sure that his defense isn't a liability on the floor.
I mean,
The problem is, though, San Antonio doesn't really have any pieces that they can move.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
How about Oklahoma?
Mm-hmm.
Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and DeMar DeRozan?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like Chris
hate it.
probably won't be there this coming season, right?
You don't think so? You think they'll trade up?
I don't know. That's tough. I mean, like, again, that's a team where I think the team would love to do it, but it would be more or less like honoring like what exactly Chris wants. Like, does Chris want to like continue his career there if they don't really have a good contending chance?
There's a lot of
Strange ones to me is that people saying they want to trade Chris Paul, but like, why would you want to trade him? I mean, I had no expectations for that team going into this season. Once they traded Paul George and everything, I had no, and they exceeded every single expectation. So I feel like they should run it back.
Me too.
Yeah, no, I'm for it if I'm them. I just don't know, like, Chris wouldn't like force him
I
his
just want
way.
Chris to win a championship, so I feel like for him, I want him somewhere else. I want him like
Toronto.
again. Give away Lowry to someone else. Can we have both?
That'd be too much.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
We would be like the most hated team in the league, but I would be our biggest fan. But I feel like a lot of teams are interested in CP3. Like Miami probably wants to make a run at him. The Knicks are like vocally expressing how they're like salivating over CP3. The Bucks are probably for now. Oh, they salivate over.
They can't get him, and they're like, we didn't want him that bad anyway. We're not willing to give up Kevin Knox.
They get so desperate and then they ask like a guy after you cut him off. Like, oh, I didn't like you anyway. I don't want you anyway.
That's the Knicks.
You're always actually really ugly. I don't care.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I hope DeRozan finds a good spot for himself. I just don't see him staying in San Antonio. Like, I know he said he found a good situation, but DeRozan felt like he had a good situation here, and look what Masai did.
True.
So,
Yep.
I mean, it could be good for you. Doesn't mean it's good for management.
Yeah. Very true. But I mean, I don't think we'll see a lot of movement this free agency anyway, just because everyone's holding out for those big pieces in 2021. I think most teams will stay pretty much the same.
Yeah, I think you don't make a move unless you think like that one piece gives you like a legitimate shot. Like maybe the only team that probably is trying to make moves is the Bucks, because they want to do everything they can to show Giannis that it's worth staying.
True, yeah.
Everyone else though, like I just nothing significant, I would say.
I
It's
think
gonna be a lot
most
of running back, and also
feel like they can run it back. Like
Right.
now, the standings just feel so fluid and so like movable that people mostly probably just feel like, you know what, like we made it far enough, we can probably run it back. We can work in the off season, bring back what we learned this season, and just kind of perfect what we could have perfected, the year before. So I feel like a lot of teams are in that part of that little thing where, especially the Raptors, like I don't think we need to make any changes. Like just bring everybody back, because most people, like I said, you just feel like you pushed so much this season that you can see that light at the end of the tunnel, and you can tell that kind of like if everybody else runs it back to no one makes any big changes where one team is going to now clearly be the favorite, you just feel like you always have a chance.
I think all moves will be made in anticipation of getting someone the following year. Like as it's saying, okay, so and so, we got this person for you, so come to us. But I don't think anything will be like, there's not going to be any major moves made this year. I think that it's pretty much a locked in, you're going to have to face the Lakers in the finals. So any moves made will be, okay, what can we do to have a chance at beating the Lakers.
I get that to a
Imagine no.
degree, but I think there's certain teams that need to make a move this year. Like I think the Bucks are in that conversation. They just have to, but they cannot. The regular season at this point is not going to matter to them. The standing at the end of the regular season is not going to matter. They have to figure out what they're doing wrong in the playoffs to fall short. You know, you have a historically great team, and there's still something that goes wrong. They have to make a move this season, especially if Giannis is. You know, Giannis claims like Giannis was very specific about what he said in his statement. Like, if this franchise is about winning and they're interested in winning championships, I'll be staying here. But I think they only have one more year to figure that out, and it's a wrap. Rockets, somebody just mentioned the Rockets.
Rockets is a good shout.
Figure something out this season. They don't have time. The Clippers are also on time constraints. They don't figure it out, and Kawhi says, "You know what? I have options." Like,
If Kawhi dips from the Clippers after 2 years, oh my god.
So like,
Documentary on whatever happened with the Clippers last year, because I will probably like binge it like it's a rom-com. It'll be the funniest thing in the world.
It'd be like your top 5 movies.
Oh yeah, my kids will grow up on it. I just want to see Doc Rivers cry after all the shit that they went through and what they put us through, and illegally spying on Kawhi. We can go down that road and make slander Clippers again, but I just like it'll be fun to see what they do in the off season because they know that they're on very.
They don't have the room to do anything. I mean, they have these giant. They have no future picks. And nobody's going to want to sign there after they saw that they had 2 of what are expected as the top 10 players in the NBA right now and did absolutely nothing with them.
Yeah,
you traded
the big moves were done. Like this is the move. So if this doesn't work out, then
for a championship, and they got the brakes beat off them by our man Jamal Murray. So
right.
So what small moves do you think certain teams are going to make? Like teams like the Nuggets that were so close. Teams, we've spoken about Miami. I think Miami kind of runs it back and just waits for 2021. But I think a team like the Nuggets, where they have a Jokic and they have a Murray, I think they just need to make small, little like incremental moves here to make a real run at it. And I think they kind of already know what they have to do if they could beat like a Clippers team. I think they have the pieces to make a final run. So I think what kind of moves do you think that they need to make, a team like the Nuggets need to make to see themselves in the finals next year?
Well, I mean, the Denver Nuggets have one of the Plumlees for $13 million. So sorry, Plumlee, but your time's up.
Right.
Get rid of a Plumlee, and that's going to give you $13 million to sign another decent big, I think. I mean, there are a few bigs available in the 2020 free agent pool. Like if you want, you could try for Drummond, or you could try for, I'm not going to say Serge Ibaka, but you could try. He's not going to take that money, but you could try for Whiteside. I mean, a lot of people don't like him. I just think in the right system, he'd be great. I think he's doing well in Portland. But yeah, I mean, if you can get rid of that Plumlee and just not re-sign him, then you kind of have a lot of
Plumlee.
I mean, is that turning into a Marc Gasol then? Because we don't really know what's up with Marc at the moment.
Maybe they could have Marc Gasol if they
want.
Like coming off the bench, yeah.
Yeah. But I don't think he would do it.
No. I think he's over the bubble life.
Yeah, and you're not gonna like live in Spain in this beautiful like Tropicana all year and then go work in Denver with like the high altitude. And I feel like there's a lot of snow there.
That's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
Mark,
that's
yeah. If I think for Mark, it's either us or Spain. Like there's
that
probably
seems to make most sense.
Or if he goes back to Memphis, he'll finish his career in Memphis now that he has a ring. I don't think that's completely out of the question either. Like if there was an opportunity to bring him back, and have him come off the bench and finish his career. And he could be a bench buddy. You could tell he really still loves it. And I think that'd be pretty cool.
Someone's asking why Drummond, because A, he's a free agent, B, he is a center, as is Plumlee, C, he's a better version of a Plumlee. He's not the
Yeah,
great.
he's at least going to be as effective, if not more. Like, if you put him in a Plumlee type role, then why wouldn't you do?
He's not going to overlap Jokic because he's going to come off the bench behind Jokic. So.
No one's going to overlap Jokic.
No.
Exactly.
He runs the team.
And at least, like, judging specifically off the Lakers series, like, you'd want a body like that to compete, like, in that situation when Jokic gets you into foul trouble or anything like that. Like, if you're at, like, you're just asking a question, like, would you rather have Plumlee or Drummond? And, like, I think 10 out of 10, it's Drummond.
Yeah.
And you'll get the rebounds that they need.
Yeah.
What he does. So, I mean, I think that'd actually be a really good fit. I think that would work for them, actually. Yeah, no, but
so what are you guys' predictions for next year? Who do you see in the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals? Given just what we talked about with changes, with what teams could anticipate making trades and stuff. All that, what do you guys think would happen next year?
I think people are sleeping on the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I think you guys forgotten what the Warriors can do. Like, yeah, they don't have KD, but
we know what they did.
The greatest shooter in NBA history is still chilling on their team. Klay Thompson
won before KD.
Yeah,
right.
And I think people are forgetting what the Warriors can do, and I think it's going to be very interesting.
Didn't they break all their records without KD? Like, I don't think they have anything to prove.
Right.
We're just like in recency bias right now. Like, oh, it's the Warriors. They got rid of KD. They can't do anything. They're gonna come back and whoop everyone's ass, and we're gonna be like, where did they come from? How did the Warriors?
And on the flip side of the coin, I mean, Brooklyn too. Like, you've got Kyrie, you've got Kevin Durant. Like, Brooklyn's building a pretty solid team there. I mean, they don't have coaches; they just have vibe.
I think Brooklyn's that one that I have no idea how good they're gonna be, but like on talent alone, like, put it this way, this is not a team that's gonna get swept in the first round.
Yeah, no, it's not happening.
I'm kind of worried about them too myself. Like, I hear a lot of people say, oh, it's Brooklyn. They're gonna take a couple years to figure out their stuff. But I feel like when you have players like Kyrie and KD, especially because they have chemistry, like, they understand each other, I feel like they're always going to be a threat. So it's going to be really interesting to see how they match up with all the other teams and how far they're really able to make it. Because next year really it's not like, PG and Kawhi. It's, when they said that, it's 1 year's championship or bust. I feel like for Brooklyn, it's very different. It really is a process. But that doesn't mean that process is not going to start off strong. Like, I feel like they probably will do pretty well next year.
I think so. And I think
Kevin's injury, sorry.
I think that's another thing to take into consideration for the openness of next season. I mean, there were so many stars with long-term injuries this season that are completely like landscape changing when they do return.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like your top 5 in 2020 is not the top 5 in the league.
Right. Yeah, no. Yeah, absolutely. That's a very valid point. I think I don't know, like, I'm kind of holding out. I want to see what the Sixers do too. I think depending on how they move the team around, I don't think they're as bad as what they were last season. And I think if they make certain moves, you'll also see them kind of move up in the East as well. I think for the most part, besides maybe Brooklyn, the East is going to look pretty similar. The West, I'm kind of curious again with the Nuggets, the Warriors. Jamal's obviously taken a step. It's going to be very interesting to see Jamal now that we know what he could do, and he knows that he could do in the playoffs, to see what he looks like next season. So that's not even okay. Like, we know the Lakers and The Clippers likely are going to be really good next season, but I think the Nuggets really are really going to have something going for them. I think they've had years where they've been building chemistry, and now that Jamal's taken a step, if they get the right pieces around them, they
I think
could.
hoping that,
confidence alone too. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I'm hoping that the Nuggets or even the Thunder kind of take the position that the Rockets had, which is like the third possible shoe-in for the East.
Yeah.
Because I think the Rockets are pretty much stuck exactly where they are.
Yeah.
Like you obviously you want to make moves, but again, they're just like one of those teams that went all in on themselves and now they're just stuck. Like I think that's a team. I think the Clippers are kind of that way. Philadelphia is kind of stuck in their position the way they are, even though they're a team that needs to make moves. Like who's taking those contracts? Like what's going to happen around that?
Yeah.
The part I'm really curious about is just how much we can rely on the bubble results. Just because like the no fans thing and all these parts, like how many of these teams benefited from it? How many of these teams like lost out on it? I think this group makes a strong case for Game 7 would go the Raptors' way if we actually played it in Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah.
So there's just this level, and that's like I don't know how much of that goes into an organization's mind when they talk about like how much they need to tinker, how much they need to redo. Because I think the Bucks are a good example of a team that needs to do stuff because historically they've actually like fallen short in the playoffs. But if you're looking at these teams that kind of became a surprise either one way or another in the bubble, is that enough to work off of to say like this is a team that we need to like move over the top? This is where we're trending, or is this like the Nuggets? I think are a really good example where I have no idea what they're going to turn into.
I think it'll be
great
because everyone hates playing in Denver because of the altitude and the time and all that stuff. So I think if the Nuggets can perform like that in a neutral environment, just imagine what they can do in their home environment.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
I think they've been a pretty good team for the last couple of years. I don't think this is something that's happening because because the bubble was a new kind of it could definitely
like they're finally coming together now, like after years of kind of figuring it out.
Timing, right? I feel like it definitely helped. The bubble definitely helped. I think, maybe you don't have as much nerves. You're not in front of friends. So that definitely does help. But I think Jamal's always been the kind of player where
he's had it in him.
You expected him to have this kind of jump. And the Nuggets were hoping when they gave him the contract that he'd become this player. So it's not like he's like this not horrible. He's this like middling.
He's not a fish out of water. He's not like completely out of nowhere.
This is kind of where he was expected to be, and I think it just happened to fall into place at this particular time. Of course, next season could come and it could be the complete opposite. It could be, oh God, we're in front of fans again. I'm nervous, and they fall apart. It could definitely happen, but I think with Jamal's confidence he's always had, I think this is just kind of a natural progression into what he was going to be anyway. I think it was just expedited because of the bubble, essentially. But yeah, no, I'm super excited for next season. In regards to the Raptors, I think we got. I think we need some players from Rondo and the but for the most part, I think the team's going to be, the core is going to stay the same for the most part.
For the Raptors, yeah, I agree. And I think it should. I really don't see
There's nothing about how it turned out that says that they should do anything but keep the course. I think and hopefully pick up another superstar.
Absolutely. If anything, I feel like it makes the argument that you should just keep it the same because you see the potential, you understand that they could have pushed it. And I think from that point on, you just hope that, Pascal has access to a basketball and a net and he just practices like once a week. And as long as he has his mojo, I feel like we're in a really good spot. And I do think, to your point, Jerome, that fans probably in a certain sense do make a difference. Maybe for players like we talked about, how for Pascal, like he probably does really thrive off of the energy of people around him, and how like we saw him in the regular season. He really gets going with the audience, with people cheering him on and everything. And as far as everyone else, like, I don't know, like I feel like that probably is a huge thing. But for next season, I'm not really sure if we still get to see fans in the audience. And even if we do, I don't think we get to see Raptor fans in the audience from Toronto. I doubt they would. Like, I'm not really sure what he's thinking of doing. I know at the beginning, Adam Silver said that the earliest would be January, but I think that just means that's the earliest. Like, if we're probably going to be looking to see a season happening a little bit later in next year, I would probably assume like March, because it does take some time to get the bubble together and everything. But what do you guys think? What their approach would be for next season in terms of because for sure I feel like Adam Silver wants to have some fans in the audience, but going like how would that be doable?
It'd probably be like 1 every 4 seats, I think.
And would they do like 2 bubbles, or would they have like, you know, each conference has their own bubble, or would it still be the same kind of idea that we had in Orlando?
That's a tough one. I mean, they'd have to find if they want to have fans, they'd have to find a pretty neutral bubble, or they'd probably bring it to the cities with the most money.
Yeah, and there might be like a strategic thing that they do with like different pockets of the US. Like I could see the Raptors might have, because this is at least like something that I've seen happen. Like you'll see it with MLB, and you'll see it with MLS, where, you know, the Canadian teams have had to set up shop in the US, but then in terms of like who they play and how they schedule out the games, they only play within like a certain group, and maybe like they try to buy themselves time by like playing within a particular market. And then hopefully, like as things like open up, then they can go back to normal, like travel across West and East Coast and deal with that. But I don't know. It's really interesting, at least thinking about it in the NBA sense, because the NBA has appeared to be the most stringent in how they've protected the players and protected the staffs and keep the bubbles tight. Mm-hmm. So to see them kind of open up, even like the smallest bit of like allowing some fans in, seems out of character for what they've kind of showed so far and how strict they were. But obviously all that also gets dictated in exactly where the world is at the point that they're trying to open up the season. Mm-hmm. But I could see a possibility, if they're really trying to force fans in and also trying to like hit different markets, is like setting up multiple markets and like kind of keeping, you know, the same teams within the area maybe playing each other, and then like expanding out once things become more free.
I think the good thing about Scotiabank Arena too is that they have like the glass for the hockey games. So if they want fans in Scotia, they could just keep the glass up during the basketball games.
That's possible. Yeah.
On each other.
Yeah.
Are being kind of optimistic about how they're going to approach this. I think by the time they have a new season, I don't think they will be as strict about the bubble. I think they're going to be a little bit more open. Like, I do think in terms of the Raptors being a Canadian team, they're going to have to approach it a little differently. But in terms of like, it's going to really depend on the state that the team's in. Like if you're in an LA team, or, you know, you're a team from the South, you're going to allow a lot more fans, I believe, than, you know, in the North. I think it's going to be, again, be dependent on what the state wants or the owners are willing to do, than, you know, this overarching kind of, oh, we're going to be really strict. I think they're going to really loosen up, because I feel like Adam Silver, the vibe that I got is that they're realizing that they've lost a lot of money because of this bubble.
Yeah, they're bleeding money right now.
Bleeding money. And I think the way to recoup is to get fans watching. And like I said last week, you sign a waiver knowing what's going to happen to you. You say, yes, I accept the consequences of my actions, and you go and watch a basketball game. And I think that's where they're going to take it. It's kind of like going into a restaurant. Maybe it's not going to be as packed, right? But I do think it's going to be kind of like, oh, yeah, we're going to, you know, contact trace, you know, put down your number, put down your name, let us know that you came to this game. And they might separate the fans a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be to the extent that we've seen it here, because they've lost money and ultimately they're doing this for money. So
Yeah, and I mean, they might even just extend it to season ticket holders. That way it's like super easy to trace exactly who was in the arena.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, I think I think no matter what the goal is, like they can't afford to just like not make any revenue off of tickets next season.
Yeah.
I think the one thing specifically for Raptors that's going to affect us and where they're going to end up is really just the travel restrictions between the countries, because that's just like what we've seen with every other sports league. So if the government is able to open themselves up to allow the Raptors to travel across, then I imagine they stay here. But I wouldn't also be surprised that if it remains the way it has been right now, that they'll have to set up shop somewhere in the U.S. and play out of there.
Yeah. What's TFC doing right now, Jerome? Like, I know that they're based at home, right? So are they hosting fans or are they traveling for not
So
fans,
they're
but-
no longer, they're no longer hosting at home. So they did it for a period because they were only playing Canadian teams. So that's when we were able to play within BMO Field. But even then, we weren't allowing fans. I think some of the other Canadian markets, I think Montreal was letting a few fans in. But at this point right now, because they're playing US teams, they're actually based in Hartford, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
So they travel down there, they practice out of there, their home pitches in Rentschler Field in Hartford, and then they travel same day in and out if they're doing an away game. So if they were playing like New York, for example, they're playing New York tonight, they're traveling today, playing tonight, and flying back right away. So they don't even stay there, and then they come back. So they set up. So the whole team is down there. What they have done for the team, because it's extremely difficult to be away from your families, to be away from your home, is when they have spots in between, they do travel back and have a couple of days where they are forced to quarantine back here, but at least they get to be with their families, and that's at least to help with their, their mental health and everything that way. But yeah, so like their situation is like we won't see any home matches for TFC, no matter how deep they go in the playoffs and everything for the rest of the season. They're going to be played directly out of there.
That's my thing with the Raptors too. I'm kind of like, you know what, like maybe I would take the chance to go watch a game, but I don't know if I want our borders open to America yet. Like that's the only thing that I would be like, I don't know if I wanted to host anyone from America with us, because like we know what kind of crap show they have going on over there. I don't know if we want to even open that entry yet, but I don't know. I feel like as much as, I mean, it would suck to not have Raptors playing here, but at the same time, we noticed and we saw how many Toronto fans we really have in the States too. So I'm sure they'll pack the house for us no matter where they are. And we'll be loud and heard.
Yeah, we'll be
fine. I mean, they're going to be, even if it's really limited seating and we still manage to get Toronto fans in any of them, like they're going to really hear them. It's going to be it's going to be so great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that, because what's happening.
It's going to be like a current Detroit home match where the stadium isn't exactly filled, but it's a lot of Raptor fans.
Detroit isn't really Detroit. Detroit's like Toronto 2.0. Like,
exactly.
It must suck for their actual players that they have to play there. And when it's Toronto, they're like, oh shit, is this a home game or an away game?
Maybe that's why Stanley Johnson came here.
I love Stanley.
He didn't know. He actually just took a wrong turn on the highway and ended up at OVO. And it's like, I guess I play for this team now. But he still thinks he's playing for Detroit right now, just a different facility. Yeah.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think so. Like the next chance you're able to ask him, hopefully the league doesn't get shut down when you're in front of him next. You can try to figure out then, like, does he know which team he's playing for right now? Is he playing for Detroit?
There is we are not in Detroit any longer.
Has it ever been weird that Detroit has like dinosaurs now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, this is our last show. So we just want to say thank you so very, very much for riding with us from the beginning. This has gone by so fast. We absolutely love doing it. We love this format. We've been figured out towards the end where we actually get to interact with you guys. So thank you. We will keep you posted on what's to come next. The pod is still alive and well. We actually just released a really, really awesome Patreon episode today. If you're subscribed to that, it's Iman talking about her two favorite things, the NBA and true crime. And she's got a very special episode on Bison Deli for you. So if you don't know about him and his really, really crazy story, go check that out. Yeah, I'm going to hand it over to my lovely co-hosts for them to say some parting words.
No, honestly, thank you so much for bearing with our technical difficulties. Literally every episode, every single episode, we don't have a full episode without like someone just crashing, someone's mic not working, someone's audio not going through. Like, and thanks for just being good sports about it. And thank you for like tuning in at 12:30 in the middle of the afternoon. And
like, don't you guys have stuff to do? Like I always.
I'm like, who watches
this?
But honestly, it's been such a cool ride. Like every Wednesday, we're like, okay, it's a Hoop Talks Day. Who wants to do it? And like, we're fighting over who wants to go on, who wants to host. And we're so lucky to have friends like Jerome, Nikias, and everyone else who's just able to, come do things for us at the drop of a hat and be like the best, Dishes and Dimes host. It's us and then it's Jerome. Like that's how we do it. We're like, it's Dishes and Dimes plus Jerome. He's a part of our
Dimes and our main dude.
friend of the pod.
Friend of the pod.
But thank you.
Big fan, number one fan.
And we will keep you posted on what's to come. We have a lot of exciting things coming up, actually. We're not going away yet. We're going to be taking over your timeline, still cluttering, so we're sorry, but not really. Like, you have to see women in sports. That's the only reason. That's the only way you guys will get used to it. That's the only time, like, we're not going to, like, the more you see us, the less back to kitchen jokes we'll get. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're going to embed ourselves in your brain so that you forget about kitchen. And you're just like, oh shit, women can talk about sports and they like sports. But that's the whole point of Dishes and Dimes. So thank you.
You're never going to be able to tell us apart from Stephen A. Smith in like 3 months. I guarantee it.
One day. It's all Corona's fault. We could have had it this season.
We could have.
In Corona. That's it from me. Anything from Sandie?
I just
8 minutes ago.
Thank all of you guys. It's been such a crazy. We started this in January. We had no idea that we would have the followers that we've had, that we'd get the support that we've gotten. Honestly, I thought it was going to be like 5 of our homies on Twitter, just no, literally, like I could not have imagined that this is where we would be, and we'd be on Hoop Talks, and we'd be with basketball news and Yahoo Sports as contributors. Like it's just been so validating, and the fact that you guys have been so consistent with your love and your support, like it means the world to me. I'm trying not to cry, but like this has just been such a great opportunity. It's been such a nurturing thing for us. It's, I'm somebody who's really shy with talking to people, and this has helped me kind of develop confidence in myself and interacting with other people. And I know I'm being really sappy, but like it just means so much to me that we have this platform. And Jerome, I really want to thank you personally now that you're here, because you're like number one, like you from the beginning. And you've just been like, you've just really reassured us. You've been so supportive. It's just really fitting that you're here. I just want to personally thank you. And you're awesome, dude. Like you're so fucking awesome. So, like I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you guys for watching. Like and coming back.
Thank you, Homestand. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for keeping up with our technical difficulties too.
I'm always late. So thank you, Sophia.
Amazing. So awesome.
Thank you guys so much. Yeah, we have like a couple more minutes. Does anybody have a question before it's 1:30?
Sorry for making you guys cry. Not that you probably have.
I'm getting emotional.
We are.
I'm PMSing, so like everything.
Hey. Dishes and Dimes the same cycle.
It's true.
Sorry.
Any questions, guys?
I need a few more appearances before I can get on board, I guess. But,
we'll get you there, Joe. We'll get you there.
Yeah.
No questions?
No questions. All right.
Well,
goodbye, everyone.
Signing out till next season. But check us out. We have so much stuff coming out in the off season. We're gonna be abusing you guys on our timelines. You're just gonna see us all the damn time. So
Not like
look out
the
for
Sidra
us.
way. We're not going to get suspended.
In the best possible way. Like, love you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next season on Hoop Talks, hopefully. But in the meantime, look out for us. We're here. We're gonna be here. Peace.
We're not going anywhere.
Wear your masks.
Wear your mask. We can go out and watch basketball games, please.
Yeah. Do it for us.
I'm begging you.
Follow Dishes and Dimes. Follow every account that's on Dishes and Dimes. Sign up for the Patreon. Do like every bit. I think it's so weird. Like before I get cut off, like I'm such a big fan, but it was like it's so cool that this pod exists and all of you exist, because like at first it was just fun following all of you on Twitter, and then knowing that you wanted to put this together, it was just great, because it was like, as someone who got to know you first, like outside of the pod, it was cool to know that other people would be able to discover like your group. And it was cool to know that, you know, you'd be able to get your voices out there and you get to be a part of, like, it's so fun being a fan with you, is what I would say. And it's more fun than, like, it makes the whole experience of being a basketball fan and a Raptor fan like so much better. So I always feel weird when it's like, Jerome, come on, because I'm just like, but this is a women's podcast. But I'm so honored to be able to join it, because honestly, it's like we're very lucky to have a very good team and a very awesome sport to follow, but it really doesn't make it any better. Like, it's not nearly as good without like the good people around you, and you all represent like the best of people around the sport. So thank you.
Jerome, we just told you we're in the time of our month. Like, don't tell us.
Sorry, that's my bad.
That's so sweet. So nice. Honestly, everyone's been, I can't believe how supportive people have been. It's changed my opinion of people. Like, and that's a huge thing. And it's been awesome to see our rise, just from personally, but then seeing outside how people support a women's podcast, and just how much people want to see us succeed. That means everything. And we owe everything to all of you, like every single thing. So
yeah,
thank you.
Nothing without you guys,
Yeah.
honestly. Thank you guys so much. Really do appreciate it. We have a lot coming up, guys.
Sorry to get sappy. We have a lot coming up.
Come see me my way.
This is definitely not the last step. Last you'll see of Dishes and Dimes. You're making it sound like thank you. Like, put up the banner. We're done. We'll see you in like 2 hours.
Yeah, literally.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.